All right, music fans, welcome. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for real people just like you and me. A real gruesome ending or conclusion to a story that was basically an unsolved mystery. Um, OJ's guitarist Frankie Little had been missing for quite some time since the mid 1970s, and his remains were identified nearly 40 years after they were discovered. At the time, they didn't have the technology to figure out that this was, I believe, the OJ's original guitar player or one of their original guitarists who worked with the band back in the 1960s. In fact, he did have a few songwriting credits, including Do the Jerk, Pretty Words, and Oh, How You Hurt Me. This was well in advance of the OJ's 1970s successful run with the likes of Gamble and Huff. They did create some of the most memorable R&B music of the 1970s, and a very distinctive band, very incredible band, actually. Hopefully Hall of Fame band. Not sure if they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They really should be if they're not. But here's the story. After 39 years, Twinsburg police have identified a murder victim whose remains were found in 1982. Twinsburg detective Eric Hendershot told the Fox 8 I-Team on Tuesday that remains were identified as Frankie Little Jr. He was born in 1943 and was a guitarist and songwriter for the band The OJs. Hendershot said the DNA Doe project helped identify the victim. His identity remained a mystery for almost 40 years, said the police department. In October of 2021, the DNA Doe project provided the names of potential living relatives who were able to provide Frank's name. A close relative provided a DNA sample, which was analyzed by the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation Crime Lab. His identity was then confirmed by Dr. Lisa Kohler of the Summit County Medical Examiner's Office. His identification was made through the collaborative efforts of the Twinsburg Police Department, the DNA Doe Project, the Ohio Attorney General's Office of Criminal Investigation, and the Summit County Medical Examiner's Office. Police say the victim's partial remains were recovered in a garbage bag below a now closed business on Cannon Road. The remains were that of an African-American male, aged 20 to 35, approximately 5'6" tall, and he may have had adolescent kyphosis, a curvature of the spine. His manner of death has been ruled a homicide by Dr. Kohler. The remains showed evidence of stabbing, blunt force trauma, and post-mortem fire. Investigators believe that he had been dead for several years before his body was found. Little Jr. was born and raised in Cleveland. He served in the U.S. Army for 2 years, which included a deployment to Vietnam during the Vietnam War. Obviously, our thoughts and prayers go out to the family of this missing person who apparently was killed in a very horrible manner. I don't know what Frankie Little did to deserve that. But again, guitar player for the OJs back in the 1960s. Again, songs like Oh, How You Hurt Me. This is old school Motown-y stuff prior to the band really taking on that Philadelphia sound, which made them famous. What a tragic ending to this entire thing here. So again, if you didn't know about Frankie Little Jr., neither did I. So this took a little bit of research here and just looking into these articles, and just a really horrible, gruesome ending to a man who probably never deserved what he got. Part of, a rock and roll or an R&B band that would become a legendary band. He did leave the band, from what I understand, prior to, going off to serve his country. But that's who knows what happened after he got back from Vietnam. Um, Post-traumatic stress disorder, being out on the street. Who knows what happened to this guy? So anyway, just a weird story and a tragic story. And I thought I would bring it to you because, otherwise people will miss this and forget about it and not wonder about life and just examine their own priorities and just, stay safe out there. The world is a crazy place. This was 40 years ago, and probably more than that, because they say his remains were there for a while before they discovered them. In any event, that's the story. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you soon.